Well, after having the past week off, I definitely want to check in with William Kelly out of Chicago to get us updated on everything that's happened there in the past week, if not more. I know we've only got limited time, William, but plenty to tackle. I want you to update me, though, on the migrant situation. I know the governor last week, he came out and he said Chicago's not doing enough. He wants to see more done, especially with the colder temperatures when it comes to actual physical housing, not just tents. But what is the latest in the back and forth and what seems to be some tensions between Governor J.B. Pritzker and Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson when it comes to dealing with the migrant situation?
Well, there's definitely some tension there. I think that when Mayor Johnson first got elected, Governor Pritzker wanted to, you know, be a mentor type relationship with Johnson, but I think that Governor Pritzker, I almost said President Pritzker, is getting very, very nervous about Mayor Johnson and the city of Chicago due to the fact that he's going to be hosting the DNC. Some people are actually saying that he's hoping to be hosting his own nomination to be president of the United States in 2024. But under Mayor Johnson, Chicago is continuing in this horrible death spiral of violent crime and this migrant out of control migrant crisis. And when I say out of control, I literally mean out of control. Okay, there's no plan. Millions upon millions of dollars are being spent. These base camps, if you recall the base camp idea of putting migrants in tents in the middle of winter, we don't even have the tents. So not only is that a horrible idea on its face, we don't even the tents haven't even been put up yet. So Johnson is spending all of this money, which we're investigating in a series of reports called Migrant Inc. If you want to take a look at that at reporterwilliamjkelly.com. But it's becoming a bit of a crisis for Pritzker and his ambitions because between the crime and the migrants, Chicago and Illinois, obviously, and Pritzker, by extension, will not be looking very good on the national stage during the DNC, Greg.
Well, you've got a lot of money going out, as you said, with your investigative reporting on how much this is costing with middlemen getting contracts to conduct health or wraparound
Yes.
services, so they say. The governor, of course, stepping up and saying that they're going to be appropriating $160 million or so. We've already seen hundreds of millions of dollars spent on all of this. What's the sentiment on the ground from the taxpayers who live in communities that feel that they've been disinvested in all of this time?
This is the issue that might unite all of Chicago against Pritzker and Johnson. The fact of the matter is that no Chicagoans, South Side, North Side, downtown, want the migrant camps, migrant shelters. Aldermen are in revolt against Mayor Johnson on this. And the spending is also very, very alarming. Our investigation of Johnson's what we call his migrant managers or migrant vendors is that they're being, they are getting filthy rich on the backs of this migrant crisis. And we actually have migrants who are saying that they are leaving Chicago, in some cases going back to Venezuela. Greg, if you can even imagine this is like it almost sounds like a joke, that if somebody had told me a few years ago, just even a handful of years ago, that migrants from Venezuela would be turning their noses up at the city of Chicago, the city that I was born and raised to believe was the greatest city in the history of the world. And I would have thought it was an actual joke. But this is what is actually happening, and migrants are saying that the American dream is dead. Well, I think I've said on your show and on national shows that the American dream is dead for Chicago residents, for citizens of Chicago, and Mayor Johnson, despite the fact that he won't allow me into city of Chicago press conferences in the press room at City Hall, he's responding to our reporting, Greg, and obviously, what we report on your show is clearly getting to the mayor because he is scrambling now. But like a cartoon character that scrambles on wet pavement or something. He doesn't seem to be getting any traction anywhere. He's starting to scramble. He's starting to show that he somehow understands that things are not going well, but he doesn't. We don't, for all the millions of dollars spent. We are yet to see a single tent.
It's pretty remarkable. William Kelly from Chicago reporting for us here with Bishop on Air. And I'm looking at some of these headlines, William, out of the Chicago Sun-Times, and it's just it's pretty staggering. And just to kind of flash this on the screen, you've got a 16-year-old girl grazed in Irvin Park. Man dies in Calumet garage fire. That might not be necessarily crime, but other headlines: man fatally shot in
Sure.
Far South Side. 72-year-old man fatally shot in Logan Square. 3 men fatally shot in Brighton Park. Man fatally shot while driving motorcycle in New City. 29-year-old found shot in Washington Park Alley. Man fatally shot in Washington Park. It goes on and on and on. And where's the focus on tamping down on crime? Is this the words that Mayor Johnson's putting out there and the sentiment he's putting out there of, kids just got to cut up? Or is this, a lack of prosecution and a lack of actual holding criminals accountable? What's going on there in Chicago where we see these regular headlines weekend after weekend?
It's not only Johnson's rhetoric, although that's a huge part of it. He's definitely, making it clear that it's open season on, crime victims in Chicago. On Michigan Avenue, a particularly horrific case, a stewardess, 20, in her 20s, was a 21-year-old, was walking down Michigan Avenue in front of the Burberry store, if you can picture this, and a repeat offender, violent repeat offender from the south side of Chicago, picked up a log from a Christmas display in front of a Starbucks, reportedly, and hurled it at her face like a javelin. And she's been unresponsive in the hospital ever since, traumatic brain injuries. Now, the only reason, and this is what my sources are telling me, that Johnson and Pritzker are upset about this because they haven't said a word about the woman. They haven't expressed any sympathies or concern for the stewardess, the woman who's clearly going to have uh, 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 injuries that will haunt her for the rest of her life as a result of this. But they're worried about the DNC. They're worried about how this is going. If there are stories of people dying on Michigan Avenue. There was a man who was sucker punched in front of the Cartier store, if you can picture this, who died on the street, and nothing has really been said or done about it. It's a one-day story at best in the city of Chicago now when these kinds of things happen. And Pritzker and Johnson are really only worried about how this is going to harm their DNC gala.
And you've mentioned several times the DNC. You've mentioned the governor on a national stage. He time and again, William, has said that he is not seeking to run for president, even though he was on with Jen Psaki this past weekend on national media talking about a variety of things, even though he's said that, he's going to support Biden wholeheartedly. The DNC is going to be in Chicago next year. What do you think's going to happen here? I mean, does he really have these presidential ambitions? Is it something for in the future, or is this something a little bit more immediate?
Well, I hate to say, toot my own horn here, but of course, as you well know, Greg, if I don't do it, nobody will. As I said on the Tucker Carlson show, I think about over a year ago, Biden will be the Democrat nominee, and you can go ahead and book that. Biden will not. Did I say Biden or Pritzker? Biden will not be the Democrat nominee. Governor J.B. Pritzker will be the Democrat nominee for president of the United States in 2024. He will receive his party's nomination here in the city of Chicago in August of 2024. And the only thing that he is concerned about right now is that somehow these pesky crime victims and these migrants from Venezuela are going to somehow ruin his party, his gala, his DNC festivities. So this is you're going to see a lot of taxpayer dollars spent to throw a fresh coat of paint on Chicago, but between now and then, but you can't really paint over the kinds of crime numbers that we're dealing with. Over the weekend, this last weekend alone, 24 people were shot, 8 killed in the city of Chicago. Typically, when the weather, the old saying, the Chicago motto at this point is "Sun's out, guns out," right? But when the sun, typically at this time of year, the shootings slow down. We had a Festival of Lights parade on Saturday. These are not typically, shooting incidents in the city of Chicago. You typically have people who come in from the suburbs who shop. I've already talked to a number of business owners in the city of Chicago. They are saying that they are not, that the metrics that they're looking at in terms of shipping and the truck drivers and the orders, they're anticipating a very, very bad shopping season, Christmas shopping, that is, and all of these numbers, from crime to the economy to migrants, do not bode well for Pritzker. Pritzker's number one issue is to try and do something about gun violence. But the problem is that every single person, every single suspect that's arrested in a gun-related crime has already been arrested for multiple gun offenses. So clearly, none of the laws that are currently on the books regarding gun crimes are being enforced. If you this man, the South Side man, Bruce Diamond is his name, who hurled this Christmas display at the stewardess and put her in a coma. He has 21 criminal convictions, according to the reports that we've been able to obtain. Multiple charges in Illinois. What was he on the street for? So this is if they can't enforce the laws that are already on the books, trying to somehow prevent law-abiding citizens from being able to defend themselves from these multiple repeat offenders that are clearly owning the Magnificent Mile. How are people, how are people in the state of Illinois or the city of Chicago supposed to go Christmas shopping? It's these policies. I don't know if Pritzker is. I don't know if Johnson understands the implications of his policies. I don't. Prior to becoming mayor, he was a part-time teacher. God only knows what he's capable of understanding about running a city. But Pritzker is. Nobody's ever accused him of being dumb. He's obviously a very smart man. He's obviously very, very. He surrounded himself with people who are policy people. He must realize that out of control violent crime, an out of control migrant crisis, and horrible economic indicators are not going to bode well for his DNC being nominated at his DNC gala.
And we'll definitely be watching this closely. It's unbelievable to think that we're less than a year away from the November 2024 election. But before that, we got primaries to get through, how the Democrats are going to handle Joe Biden as an incumbent, and what that looks like heading into the August DNC in Chicago. William Kelly, greatly appreciate your time as always. We'll definitely be talking again in the near future.
God bless you, Greg. Thank you.
So there you go. That is, of course, William Kelly, a reporter with Chicago credentials and getting the latest of what's going on in the Windy City, but also some speculation as to what's going to happen with Governor J.B. Pritzker, and is he indeed edging himself to become the Democrats' nominee if Joe Biden isn't capable of running in 2024? All right, guys, that's all I got for you today. Again, I'm on vacation still, so I'm gonna go and kick back and relax, maybe do a little bit more engineering here, but we will be back in full effect tomorrow. It's a short Thanksgiving week, but we, of course, have got tons to tackle. We'll talk about the firearm owner identification card with new board members. Also, don't forget, you've got iGold coming up. The date for iGold has been set. It's going to be in April. If you don't follow the Illinois State Rifle Association, you should probably go check that out because they do on Twitter have it posted that iGold is coming up for... Let me pull this up really quick. Make sure we got this. April 18th. All right, so put that on your calendar. April 18th, Illinois Gun Owner Lobby Day. So we'll have to revisit some of the conversation around that as well. All right. Have yourselves a great day. See you back here tomorrow. Promise I'll get it launched at about 7:30, 7:40, and hopefully we don't have any audio snafus. So thanks for checking in, guys. Be sure to check out the store if you're interested in, a Bishop on Air hoodie or a hat or a coffee mug, especially just in time for the holidays. All right, guys. Later on. Have a good day.